Welcome to the Spring Ugly Duckling Challenge, hosted by Cory from Desert DIY. This challenge is all about attacking something that you've been meaning to get to for a long time, but haven't gotten around to it. Well, I'm going big or going home because I'm doing my kitchen cabinets. That's furniture, right? Be sure to watch all the videos in the playlist. You're definitely going to want to. You're also going to want to subscribe to all these talented YouTubers. Thanks, Cory. I really needed this to get some motivation. Here's an honest look into my kitchen. First of all, there's some things on the ceiling that need fixed, and the light fixture has got to go. It's got this builder grade boob light that we've replaced, but I want something else. So I'll show you what I have ordered. The last time I painted the walls, I never really finished painting them. So it's kind of just like one base coat on there. So we have an open cupboard, and I thought it would be cool to do because I love my Pioneer Woman dishes and stuff. Well, my husband doesn't like it. He thinks that it gets dust in there. So point well taken. So I'm going to replace those doors. I kept them, so I'm going to make them with glass fronts. And the other doors are very plain, and I'm just going to add some trim to them. So the same trim that will be on these will also frame the glass on these. Don't mind the mess on the countertops. That's one of the things I want to fix. I have painted the countertops in the past. Yeah, how about I wipe off the countertop? So another thing is our microwave blows a fuse all the time. So I think we're going to get a new microwave. But I'm also going to check the next time the fuse blows if it is just, if our refrigerator is on the same breaker. Because if not, I'm going to move the microwave over here. So we had it here before on this cupboard that my dad built, and I plan on keeping those shelves. I like them. Garbage can. I'd love to find a new solution for that. So we have these fancy knobs, which are too fancy. But look what happens. That's another thing that's going to happen first, is some organization. But look what happens. I get this far, and that stops it. So I ordered some new low-profile knobs. Some things that just, I feel like just need changed. Like, I never use that mixer, so I don't know why it's out. We don't have a dishwasher, and I don't want to change that. You know, we both are just fine with doing dishes, you know, so it's just my husband and I, so no worries. Now you're going to see all the dirty window, but because it's really sunny, and I'm not complaining about that. I love my window that lifts up in the summer so we can open it. Truth be told, I'd like to replace the windows with some newer ones because it does let an awful lot of air in. I want to make a feature wall. I also need to discuss some things with my husband because I'd like to paint this door. It's very gatory, alligatory, you know. So I think it's time. Also, you notice that I have this very dated Congo wall, I'll call it, but it is so loose. It's ready to come off. Here, we catch ourselves on it all the time. So that's coming off, and I want to replace this rubbery baseboard with actual wood baseboard. Keep it over here. And I got some peel and stick tile that we're going to use all along the backsplash and all over this wall. So we'll be moving that picture. I'm also thinking of putting a small shelf in there. We can't do a big shelf because when that door opens, it would hit it. So we have to be mindful of that, but we could use an extra shelf there and maybe hang some pots and pans. So definitely going to start with some cupboard organization to get rid of things that we don't need. We got started by removing the fixture and painting the ceiling, and then removing that wall panel and the shelves. We're not going to remove from behind the refrigerator. I started putting the peel and stick tile on and then decided I needed to remove that textured wallpaper that was underneath. So my husband got in the act and he was peeling as well as putting that light fixture in. And now we're ready for some peel and stick tile. And I think that looks really good. I think it looks pretty authentic. And there's some spots that were boo-boo areas or leftover tile areas that will be camouflaged by some decor. I need to use the cut-off ends to do this little section here, and I have to finish the bottom as well. But I get busy covering up all the doorways because I'm going to be making some dust. I'm going to get the sander out and sand down that wall where the texture was, and also to sand the countertops to prep them for painting. I start with 80 grit, then 120 grit, then 220 grit. I've also painted the walls, and I wanted that accent wall. I used Dixie Belle's new color called Glacier and also Smoky Mountains on this wall. I used a stencil from the Royal Stencil Company and used that Glacier color to fill in the stencil. Just a tone on tone. I did want some extra color in it, but then I thought this kept it from being too crazy florally. So I mentioned I didn't care for the orangey tone in the doors, so I decided just to use Dixie Belle's Tobacco Road Voodoo Gel Stain and to go over the doors. Now, it doesn't look really good close up here, but this is in the process. After it was done, I absolutely loved it, and my husband did too. And then I will go over it and seal it with gator hide. But boy, I was very thrilled with that. Then we got busy assembling the island that we had ordered from Walmart. I had hesitations, but it had really good reviews. So the painting and the smoothing continues. Lots of work getting that wall texture down. And this color is called Cactus that's going on the cabinets. So I used Endless Shore on the woodwork because it matched that tile most of all. And then we had Hampton Olive on the cupboards before. So this shade is a little bit brighter. So I think it's looking pretty good. I get rid of this old ancient towel rack and destroy the cabinets in the meantime. So I have to patch that now. Pulling doors out and drawers, and the process is going inside, and first I organize the contents, and before every door goes back on, I'm changing the lining that's in it. I love my Pioneer Woman stuff, so I use that, and I use Dixie Mud to fix that cupboard and also the wall. I had used spackling, but then I switched to the mud, and it did a much better job. So I turned my attention to the cupboards, and there I have measured 3 inches in from every edge and drawn lines. And I'm using this molding that was pretty inexpensive that I got at Lowe's, and I'm putting some trim on them. I am using miter shears, so no power tools here, and it's super easy to just make that cut. So I use Tight Bond quick and thick glue and put them down, and then I tape them until they're on. I don't feel the need to nail them too, but I'm using that paint there. So I'm going to use these colors of silk to replicate
the wood grain that's on that island. And I start by using Dixie Belle's Sandcastle in Silk. I don't use a primer first because I have painted these counters many times before and they certainly got a good sanding. So I'm just starting out by using this. This product has a primer in it already, which is a stain blocking primer. So I am just going for it here. And if there is any texture, you might wonder why I'm not using a roller. I just grabbed the brush and got started. But it was just super quick and easy to do. And if there is any texture in them, I'm okay with it because I'm going to do that wood grain finish. So as long as I keep my strokes going in the same direction that the wood grain would go in, I think it's only going to lend itself to the authenticity. So the cupboard doors are looking really good, and so are the insides of some of the cupboards. One more to go. So I'm still working in the middle, masking things off and doing the other side now. And the process here is to get all the paint on, letting the layers dry well in between. And then once we put the clear coat on, then it's going to have to sit for a couple days. Now I am looking at those big cupboard doors that I'm going to put the glass in. I measure, and while I wait for them to cut the glass, I am sectioning off the countertops with tape because I'm going to be putting my next layer of paint. I go with Silk Yellowstone, and I'm just going to put some color, just dry brushing, in these areas that I have taped off. Now, you might think this looks hideous. My husband did too. He said, I'm not saying anything. So I worked it and it kind of looked very patchworky. But it's one of those times when you have to trust the process. And I'll be honest with you, 100% I didn't know what the process was. I was just going with it. I knew I have replicated wood grain before, and I was just going for it. So this is Mojave, also a silk color. And I'm repeating the same process. So once I lift the tape, I just kind of put that joint up together. But then I have to remember to remove the tape in between because I don't want a skinny space in between. So when that was all done, then I took Dixie Belle's Voodoo Gel Stain, again in Tobacco Road, and did a dry brush over top of that to put some grain effect in that. Again, you may think, wow, this looks bad. So keep watching. Remember, this process is taking place over a couple weeks, but I get a lot of things accomplished on Sundays and Mondays. Now, back in with some Voodoo Gel Stain, and this time I'm using Au Naturel. And I am dry brushing over the entire surface with a very large brush, the Big Daddy brush, and just, again, going over everything just to tone down those colors and bring in that natural wood tone like we have on the island. Looking good. Now I start to drill those corners out with a paddle bit so that I can put my jigsaw in and cut along those edges. I measure and cut my trim. This time I overlap that line where the cutout is so that it holds the glass in. I also tack it down. By now I have 3 coats of gator hide on the counters. So now it's time to let it sit, and we don't put anything on it for a couple of days just so that we are sure that that paint cures and they're in good shape. Work continues on the doors that will hold the glass. I install a rack from IKEA while I'm waiting for paint to dry. I install the cupboard doors and I think they look pretty good. I've also added lights under the counter and just need to hide the cords. I love the island we got, but now that it's in the kitchen, I feel like that rack sticks out too far. So I removed it and it had a machine screw in it. I also removed the book rack from the other side. And I took that out and I'm just replacing that machine screw. And I also needed to cover up holes. So that little black plastic screw worked great for that. Now I just need 2 more. So I was left with the little book rack that I removed from the side. So I used that same double stick tape that I used to install the lights with and grabbed some magnets and put it on my refrigerator. It doesn't look perfect, but at least it doesn't go to waste. I have a little book in there and a little thing of tea. And now I am working on getting those baseboards put together. I could not find any of the salvage ones that I thought I had. I just found one piece. Obviously, it wasn't enough. So this is raw pine. So what I'm doing is using Silk's Umber, like I did on the counters, and a little bit of the Yellowstone color to give that orangey look that I had in the doors to try to make everything be cohesive. So I'm just kind of mixing it all together, just kind of painting it on in areas, and then I'm going to come back over it with the Tobacco Road Voodoo Gel stain. So here I am in my pajamas, of course, using my nail gun to apply the baseboard to the wall. I then add the trim above, and I will come back in. It's an old house, so everything doesn't line up properly, but if you can see, I will come back in and use the stain and make that little area that's raw, that's sticking out, disappear. Grab 2 more of those screw caps and that's all done. The towel racks are metal and they're expandable from Amazon. I added a curtain that I made from drop cloth fabric. It's almost time for the big reveal. Just so you know, I culled Pinterest and created a board. The whole time I was doing this kitchen, every little thing, I just kind of kept gathering all these ideas, and I feel like what I ended up with is sort of a culmination of all of these ideas. And I threw a pie crust recipe in there as well. Before we do the big reveal, here's some way back before the last redo pictures, and those were the original countertops right there, and before the kitchen was red with white cabinets. I think Grizz likes it. He had to adjust to his bowls being moved onto the feature wall, but I think he'll be okay with that. Stay tuned for a million pictures of this kitchen that's going to function way better for our family and that I'm just a little bit obsessed with. Desert DIY. Thank you, Cory, for hosting this challenge and giving me that kick in the pants to get my kitchen painted, and never dreamed of doing all of this, and that's what happened. So thank you. And I hope you check out Cory's channel. It's awesome. I love her thrift flips and makeovers, and also check out everyone else's channel and the playlist that'll be linked in the description box. If you like this content, please subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and share it with your friends. Don't forget to hit that notifications bell when you subscribe so you don't miss a thing. Find us on the web at statementdesigns.org, where you can purchase the paint that you have seen in this video, and also visit us on social media as Statement Designs. As always, stay well.